Video games have huge consequences on your brain, and it can also shift your emotions. You are hurting your brain by playing Valorant 24/7, okay? You're hurting your brain by playing video games all day. And in this video, I'm going to discuss why. Those who are addicted will fight for their lives to validate the addiction. This is a quote that I pretty much, I guess, came up with, because every time you take someone's addiction away, or you kind of argue to them, telling them that the addiction you're consuming is bad for you, they'll defend it. They'll defend it with all their might, despite the fact that it's quite logical that the addiction isn't so good for you. In this case, we're talking about gaming, which that quote is important because I want you to do some self-reflection on your choices with gaming, how much you game and all that, and whether you're experiencing these symptoms and that you should probably move away from gaming. So gaming is very popular these days as it's a new form of entertainment, okay? You had back then people would go out in the park, and now they've got their computers to play, I don't know, Valorant or whatever. Which I'm not saying it's replaced going out into the park, okay? There's tons of children that have kind of enjoyed both. But you know, it's a new form of entertainment that's very stimulating, okay? Which is why people play it. I used to be an avid gamer, okay? I used to play every hour, oh my gosh. I even had a successful YouTube channel that hit like 2,000 subs. I used to play games a lot, that's the point. But now I don't. I don't play any games. I just focus on YouTube, fitness, all the things I want to do. I've told friends to stop gaming, and as a result, they've found benefits and they've even expressed it to me. I get why you're addicted, because gaming fills up a lot of time, okay? You go hours with being stimulated and experiencing a lot of, I guess, fun in a sense. Not joy, but fun, because it's stimulating. But I have a reason to avoid gaming, and I think you should use this reason as well, because it's quite worrying. This is coming from someone who spent years playing games, ever since I was a child. Gaming, just like TikTok, social media, and adult content use, can alter your brain and cause you to think and act differently. You might be listening to the claim I just made in utter shock, right? But I have evidence to back me up, which is why I don't play video games anymore. So I highly encourage you not only reduce your video game hours, but quit fully. As the addiction itself has consequences. Every action has an outcome, whether it's a consequence or a benefit, and they have a massive consequence on you. Because not many people realize the effects of gaming on what it actually has in your brain, and I noticed an immediate effect when I stopped playing games and I quit. So let's discuss the implications. So first, there's dopamine, okay? This is the first thing we must discuss because everyone talks about dopamine, and dopamine is very important. So the effects of video game on dopamine, I'd say, is the most well known, because with things like social media and TikTok, the dopamine system ends up getting messed up due to the amount of dopamine spikes you're experiencing, and the same goes for gaming. Basically, you have a dopamine baseline, which is the regulator of your motivation, how your attention works and how motivated you are to do these things. When you do a normal healthy activity, like you go out into the gym and you do fitness, right? The dopamine, this is how it works. You go into goal pursuit mode and it goes below baseline as you're pursuing the goal. Then once you hit the goal, it goes up, and then the goal's completed and it goes above baseline. Thus the baseline increases. However, with gaming, TikTok, social media, all the stuff that you usually talk bad upon, what will happen is that the dopamine, it'll have massive spikes, so much spikes, and they're very large usually, to the point that it goes below baseline. Thus the baseline has to kind of compensate and go down. Why is this important? Because the lower your baseline is, the more disappointed you'll be, the more anxious you'll be, the more unmotivated you'll be. I have evidence to prove this, right? So Huberman Lab talks about this all the time, you know, and its effects as well. So basically, as a result of this happening, where baseline goes down, you'll find it hard to do chores, to start doing chores, to start doing average tasks, to start doing all this kind of stuff, and it'll decrease your motivation. According to healthdirect.gov, it will give you a massive feeling of disappointment daily. It will lower your libido, more depression, and like I said, a lack of motivation and willingness to do basic tasks, okay? There's also a lot of social symptoms that come with this, okay? Like I said, increased anxiety and lower self-esteem, which explains why a lot of people are anxious these days, because they can play video games all day, and thus they end up having worse anxiety as a result. Their brains are more able to be triggered to be anxious. And your dopamine is important, and I highly recommend you actually regulate it. Like, go on walks, do some fitness, meditate more, go outside and embrace nature. All of those activities, as well as many others, can increase your dopamine baseline due to the lack of screens and overstimuli. So now let's discuss mood. Mood definitely plays a role, because gaming alters your mood. Okay, we all know that, you know. According to family addiction specialists, gaming addiction will lead to larger impulsivity, aggression, anxiety, and depression. When I used to game, I acted emotionally all the time, you know, more often than you'd think. But when I started to distance myself from gaming and to avoid it, my impulsivity had decreased significantly. And I was thinking logically, okay? I was thinking so much logically. I started to feel joyful, and it seems that every day I end up smiling and feeling great overall, no matter what happened. To prove that this doesn't just come from articles, I have a study, okay? A study published on Frontiers that I took from family addiction specialists, and it found that excessive video gaming coincided with mental health symptoms, okay? Including depression, anxiety, and hostility. So the thing your mum has been saying about video games causing you to be more hostile that she found in the news, it turns out it was just correct. It's just they can't back it up for some reason. So impulsivity is quite interesting, right? Because when I quit gaming, I noticed a lack of impulsivity. I started to be more logical, and I started to, I just became more logical and rational. Mentalhealth.net considers gaming addiction as an impulse control disorder, right? So what do they say about it? They claim that video games decrease your ability to resist temptations, which will cause other addictions to take host in your mind, okay? So to back this up, I read a study, and the study was made by Health and Addictions, which outlines impulsivity in video games. They gathered 411 people, ranging from ages 12 to 6, and put them into two groups, okay? One group did not play on weekdays, and the other group played on weekdays, okay? Which means they had more time. They played more games than them. The group which did not play on weekdays had vastly better impulse control, while the group that played all week had much worse impulse control. So why is this? How does this occur? This is my theory, because this pretty much occurs with everything else when it comes to TikTok and social media and all that, and this definitely controls your rationality, okay? Is how your brain works and how it gets altered. Okay, so this is an important fact that I discuss all the time on this channel, and I want you to know. When you engage in gaming, social media, and TikTok, your brain changes. Your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala will change. The grey matter in your amygdala will increase, and the grey matter in your prefrontal cortex will decrease from gaming and overstimuli. And what that changes is that your amygdala is more anxious, it's more illogical, and it does stupid stuff. While your prefrontal cortex is more logical, more confident, and it decides everything logically, okay? It's more rational, which is just... So thus you become more impulsive, more likely to do stupid things that make no sense. So you want more grey matter in your prefrontal cortex and less in your amygdala. So how do we achieve this? I have a solution to you, okay? The way you reverse the issue is that you meditate, okay? When you meditate, the grey matter starts to shift to your prefrontal cortex, and that starts growing in size, while your grey matter in your amygdala decreases, which is interesting. It's very, very interesting. And also you want to avoid gaming, social media, and all these things that will get in the way of your meditative progress. But that'll reverse the issue, and I've been doing it for, I guess, 2 years now. It's great, I enjoy it, I meditate for 10 minutes a day. You can do 5, 7, or even more than me if you want to. So now that we have a lot of the symptoms out the way, and we know that gaming has negative effects on the brain, I'm going to respond to a pro-gaming argument I see everywhere. The one I see the most, okay, is video games can help you escape from your life. It's escapism. And it does depend on the situation you're living in, because if you're born, you're like pretty young and your family's abusive, you want to find an escape, I guess, because I guess it'll keep you less unhappy, but still, you want a good escape, like story writing or whatever, developing a skill. But when your life sucks, okay, and it's your fault, like you're in an apartment, you're falling behind with money, you feel horrid, you feel depressed, then it's your fault. So that means you shouldn't be escaping if it's your fault, because that means you're not doing the right thing. You're not facing the issue, so that's the issue gets bigger and bigger, and eventually it'll probably kill you, if it gets that worse. So you want to pretty much avoid escapism and just face the issue. So that's why this argument kind of sucks, it's stupid. So now here's some solutions you can do to get rid of gaming, okay? If you want to get off of gaming, you need to find, this is what got me off of gaming, okay? What got me off of gaming was purpose. I found the reason to do something. I wanted to make videos, wanted to work on them, I wanted to do all this stuff, so I started doing that. And the amount of times I played games decreased because I was focusing on this thing. And when you have a good goal with a good reason, those boring tasks will become more doable. Your brain will want to do them because you have a good reason to do so. It's attached to a reason. And the more I started to focus on this, the less I started to game. And I got to the point where I started to not game for 3 weeks at a time. And honestly, I can safely say I don't game anymore. It's that easy. I don't game anymore. A friend of mine suggested that you detox and just uninstall all your games. Which, yes, gaming disorder, I guess, is more controllable than other disorders, but it's still recommendable. I think you should do it. So you need to replace a habit, and this is how I look at it, okay? don't worry if you game, like if you just relapse. Because your goal is to decrease the amount of times you're gaming every month instead of get rid of it fully, because you're not even at that level yet. So you want to get better at decreasing it, and eventually you'll get to the point where you just don't game anymore. And you want to focus on replacing it with as much productivity, okay? You could be doing stretches, playing the guitar, because I know music actually kept me away from gaming for a bit. You can focus on all these things and it'll keep your mind away from gaming. So don't worry if you relapse on your no gaming streak. It's not about the streak, it's about the amount of times you game in the month. Anyway, games aren't good for your brain. That's the point of the video. And I want you to kind of think about it, think about all the issues in your brain and whether it correlates to gaming, and be like, what if it does? What if I quit and it changes everything? Then you quit for a month and see what happens. Keep never quitting, alright?